Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the previous lecture, we discussed something about the 7 C's of communication and about clarity. We discussed in the previous one that why it is important to learn the 7 C's of communication, what are their importance, and we also learned what clarity is. Now, in this lecture, we will discuss how to achieve clarity. Previously, we learned what clarity is, but as we discussed previously, that the main purpose being a sender is not only knowing what clarity is. The real purpose is to know how we can achieve clarity in our messages when we are producing them. And if we are producing the clear messages orally or in written way, then we can achieve our desired results and we can move forward towards effective communication. Basic purpose of these 7 C's, as we know, is making our message effective, is keeping our communication effective. So for this purpose, now it is very important to learn what are the ways by which we can achieve clarity in our messages. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, we will start from this slide, and this slide will tell us the 4 ways by which we can achieve the clarity. The first one is providing specific detail. You can see here. The second one is answering the reporter's questions, and the third one is using understandable language. Fourth one is using active voice instead of passive voice. Now we'll discuss in detail one by one. First, providing specific detail. Sometimes when we are making our message, we try to use generalized word. Usually in our day-to-day communication, we use generalized words. We are not much specific. But in business communication, informal communication, or in many other communicative instances in our daily life, sometimes we need to give particular information. And as we have discussed in the previous lecture as well, if our message is bringing in some kind of confusion in the mind of reader, that's the kind of problem. So we need to avoid basically these kind of generalized words. Rather, we should use some specific kind of words or specific particular sentences. By this we can avoid any kind of confusion. Now, what are generalized words and what are the specific words? You can come to know through a very simple example. As you know, there is a common noun, boy. When we say boy, we don't know which boy we are talking about. For example, if we are saying Ali, that is about the specific person. Again, if we move back to the parts of speech, we can come to know that this boy is basically a common noun. So common noun is a general thing, general person, whereas Ali is a specific person. So this is generally about grammar, but there are many other words in our language that we use generally or specifically. So before discussing a lot of these things, we should quickly go towards a text which will clarify this issue quite clearly. Now let's have a look at this extract. It says, our latest attempt at molding perform protector has led to some positive results. We spent several hours in the department, 15 trying different machines, settings and techniques. Several good parts were molded using 2 different sheet thicknesses. Here's a summary of findings. First, we tried thick sheet material at 240 Fahrenheit. This thickness worked well. Next, we tried the thinner sheet material. The thinner sheet material is less forgiving, but after few adjustments, we were making good parts. So in as much material caused the most handling problems. So this is one extract that you have seen. Now you keep these underlined words in your mind like latest, some, several, thick, few, thinner. Let's move on to the next extract here. Now this is the extract which talks about the same thing. Let's have a look at this one. During the week of 10th April 2005, we spent approximately 12 hours in department, 15 trying different material machine settings, techniques and thicknesses to perform mold protectors. Here is the report on our findings. You can see here 0.030 inch thick sheet at 240 Fahrenheit. This thickness worked well. The second one is 0.015 inch thick sheet. This material is less forgiving, but after decreasing the heat of 200 Fahrenheit degree, we could produce good parts. Still, material at 0.05 inch causes handling problems. Now again, here is the comparison between two different thick and thin sheets, but this comparison is somehow different from this one. Although the information is same in this one, but this one is using these generalized word. Now thick sheet, what is the standard of thick? For me, something is for example 1 inch is thick, and for someone is 2 inches thick. So there is no specific measure by which we can say this is thick and this is thin. It's not clear. So there are a few other things, like here we can see few adjustments. Here he's talking about few adjustments, but here what those adjustments are, it's not clear. But here those adjustments are given after decreasing the heat to 200 degree Fahrenheit. So we can easily say these kind of words like several hours are generalized words, which are not telling several hours, how many hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours or 20 hours. Whereas this one, 12 hours, is specifically giving us the required information, and this is making a clear-cut image in the mind of the reader. So this is a clear-cut information. Now we can come to know how this comparison of generalized words or sentences and specific words or sentences has made a big difference in our writing. Same can be applied in our speaking as well. So the first one was not as clear as the second one is, just due to these words which have totally changed the image of these texts. So by this we can easily conclude that using the understandable words can make our message more clear. Now let's move towards answering the reporter's question. This is the second one. Whenever we deliver any message, we expect something from our receiver. We expect any action from our receiver, any response from our receiver, but we always expect something positive. That's why we are communicating. And as we have learned from the very first day, that the main thing in our communication is our targeted purpose. If we are achieving, our communication is effective. If we are not achieving, communication is not effective. So that targeted purpose is achieved through the receiver. And if receiver is confused about something, then we are not going to have a good communicative instance. So as we have expectations from our receiver also have some expectations from us. Here you can see first memo. Please be prepared to plan a presentation on the month report. Please be sure that your explanations are very detailed. Thanks. Now this is one memo. This is another one. So in this one, you can see here, it's answering who, it's answering why, when, how, what, and where. So simply, if I ask few of my students that you have to present next week, and I am expecting a very good presentation from them. This is the basic purpose of my communication. But later on, they are not able to give a good presentation. What was the reason? If I ask them, they will tell me, sir, you have told only us this thing that we have to present. I have to give them the information what they need to present, why they need to present, how they need to present, what is the specific time for your presentation, how much slides are required, what kind of topic on which you need to present. If I am providing all these kind of informations, so we are answering the reporter's question, we are coming up to their expectation level, then we can expect these things from them. And if we are not doing so, then we can't blame them. It was the fault of a message. So in this lecture, we have discussed two ways of finding clarity. One was providing specific detail and another was answering reporter's question. The comparison of this one and this one quite clearly tells us how by giving all the required information we can make our message more effective. So in the next lecture we will discuss something more, two more ways of achieving clarity. By now this is, I hope, enough, and the remaining things we will discuss later on. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.